Yeah, that's all the way up. Okay. Hi, hi. All right, I am live everywhere. Hi, everybody. Let me just move this. And I'm doing that. Nope, that doesn't look good. Okay. Hi, everyone. Jody Bentley here, actor, producer, writer, CEO of Actor Insider and the Actor's Office, coming to you live on the first Friday of every month for Actor Insider Live. Where we discuss what's going on in your acting career, in the acting business. You know, this is not a go it alone community, and I go live once a month to answer any and all questions that you have, to give you a reset, to give you some motivation, to give you some inspiration and action to move forward. So, hi, happy Friday. Here we are. Let me just make sure I am live here on Facebook. Sometimes it gets a little weirdo. I am live here on YouTube at Actor Insider, on my Instagram at Actor Insider, and in my community on Facebook called Actor Insider Community. So there we go. I'm just double checking that I can see my live video, because sometimes I can't. And Mercury is in retrograde, apparently. My whole website was down yesterday for a good part of the day, so that's always fun. Yeah, I don't see that I'm live here, even though it says that I'm live here. So, okay, well, I guess I'm live inside the thing. Okay, well, there we are. Okay, cool. All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Louise. Hi, Milan. Oh my gosh, I am exhausted. I woke up with a migraine. Thank God it's gone. Thank God for migraine pills. But it's been a busy, really busy week. But I'm really excited to be here with you and just like take a breath. And can't wait to answer any and all questions that you do have. So please know that this is a Q&A for you. So anything that's coming up, please write it in the comment section in the chat here on YouTube, or on the comments on Instagram and Facebook. And I will answer any and all questions that you do have. Because it was, it's been, it's March. It's March. We're in the last month of the first quarter of the year. I can't even wrap my head around what that means. But there's that. And a lot of stuff is going on in our industry with the Warner Brothers and Paramount and union negotiations and just a lot of things. So I would love to know how you are feeling. Number one. Hi, Tony. Tony's been on fire in 2026. I would love to know how you're feeling. What's going on? Happy March. Thank you. Happy March to you. How are you feeling? I was just interviewed on a podcast yesterday morning. If you don't know Brave Maker Films, Brave Maker with Tony Gappastone, go check out Brave Maker. They do have to do so many lovely classes, workshops, networking events for filmmakers, actors, writers. I really invite you to go check them out. And Tony was interviewing me about my film we're in late development on, called What They Left Us. And just talking to me about my producing journey. Anyway, but he even brought up the question of like, how are you feeling? He was listening to a podcast before interviewing me on a podcast just about the state of our industry. And, he asked, what's your take on this? And I'll just say this. I do think, number one, that we all get to really be aware of what is happening in the industry, right? There's no more passivity of, I'm just going to do my auditions and we'll see what happens, right? We really must be active participants in this thing that we are calling our career and our business, okay? So I really invite you to not be on the sidelines and to really follow Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, pick your poison, whichever one. You don't need to follow all three. Pick one, Variety, whatever it may be, and follow it and pay attention to what's happening, because we need to understand what's the trickle down effect. What are the repercussions of a Warner Brothers Paramount merger? What does that look like? What does that mean for us? right? So I think we just need to understand those things. So first and foremost, because I don't have all the answers, right? I'm just paying attention and watching it unfold, just like you are. I know that some of it can't be good. Some of it does scare me. The monopoly of all of those platforms and channels under one roof, controlled by one person, does not sit well with me. And with the amount of layoffs and everything that would happen and how that would trickle down, of course that I'm concerned about those things. First and foremost, I just want to say to pay attention. But secondly, I want, when we're talking about, oh God, this industry, is there even an industry anymore? Will the industry be here in 10 years? And, I like to consider myself a practical optimist. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to be practical about a situation, but I am also, as I just saw my dog yawn in the background. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for yawning at me. But I, I'm a practical optimist, but I am going to be optimistic about things. And so when people are like the despair of what's happening right now, look, I get it. Since 2020, our industry has been changing constantly. We have not had a moment for our nervous systems to go, "Oh, I understand the game now. I understand how this is played now." That really hasn't happened. That it's been like a constant, COVID, all the self tapes, all the different things because of COVID, and then AI, and then the strikes, and now there's just the blah blah blah, blah, everything. We haven't had a moment to go, "Oh, I understand." So my nervous system is on edge. I imagine your nervous system is on edge, and that what that can cause is this despair, this downward spiral into, oh, I miss the days of woe, right? I want those back, and now what the industry is dying, right? And of course, reading every headline of things of like Hollywood is dead, everything's dying. Look, I get it. There are less auditions here. There are. I've still had 15 auditions this year. I know Tony's booked a couple things this year. There are still things to be had. There are still auditions out there. There are still projects being made. Are there less of them? Sure. But I just want to remind you that our industry has constantly been in an evolution. This evolution is I don't want to say constant. I just say constant, but this is it. I don't want to use the word unprecedented either, but it's all happening right now. It's not letting up, right? Like we've had evolutions and it's settled, right? From silent films to talkies, from black and white to color, right? Right. We've had evolutions and they've settled, and we haven't had anything that's settled yet. There will be a point where things settle, I promise you. But I think I just invite you to pay attention to the evolution, and as opposed to the despair around it, go, what is my place in this now? What do I need to do now? Now I can see the gap might be bigger of where I am and where I want to be. How do I fill that gap now? And staying curious about that is so important. All right, let me know your thoughts on that. But let me see. Shannon, happy migraine gone day, Jody. Thank you. Yes, I will be taking my migraine pills consistently today to make sure that I don't get it back. Thank you, Shannon. Hi, Osiris. How are you? Good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, let me know what's coming up for you. I'll get off my little soapbox about the state of our industry. But I mean, I am curious though how you are feeling about it. I think we always get to choose. We always get to choose how we feel. Right? Like I just said, I had a ton of auditions in January and February. I felt really good about it. March, this week, zero auditions. Okay. So, and I had a moment yesterday and I was like, I didn't have any auditions this week. And I'm like, okay, well, they weren't writing for me this week. So I'm going to focus on my other creative projects. And then next week, I know it'll be a different week. So it's all how we choose to look at things. I also found out that I was sent to producers on 2 projects that I auditioned for. One was a lead in a feature film, you guys, probably like the biggest budget lead audition that I've had. And I got sent to producers, and I got sent to producers on a supporting role in another huge feature. And I didn't hear anything this week. And I'm like, okay. And Jody, you got sent to producers on one of the biggest budget level projects that you've ever auditioned for. Like it's how are you choosing to look at things? Because that's what's going to keep you moving forward. And again, I'm not talking about everything's roses and freaking sunshine. Do you know what I mean? And like just being like, everything's great, not the pop. I'm not saying that. Right. I said I'm a practical optimist. We got to pay attention to things, and I get to go, yeah, that sucks. Right. There's a part of me that's like, that sucks. And how cool, right? That both can exist. So I don't know. I just wanted to impart that with you. All right. I'm just want to double check here if any comments are coming through. I always have an issue finding it on Facebook. Anyway, blah blah. Facebook annoys me. We're sick of hearing about it. Yeah, I just don't like the last time I um what am I trying to say? The last time, oh, see, yeah, there. Now I can see it. Hi, Carol. Yeah, the last time I did this, there was no comments on my end came through on Facebook. I end the live and there was like 10 questions. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, hi, Casimir. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Emmanuel. Nice to see you all. Again, for those of you just tuning in, I'm Jody Bentley. I'm an actor, producer, writer, and career coach, CEO of Actor Insider and the Actor's Office, going live on the first Friday of every month for Actor Insider Live, where I answer any and all questions that you have about your acting business, just to get a jolt of motivation, inspiration, and some action to move forward. Emmanuel is here. He always has a very deep question. I'm going to take a sip of my tea before I even read this one, Emmanuel. All right. Oh, and you know, on Instagram, you can't really see, but on YouTube and Facebook, that's Stuart. Can you see my little buddy? That's Stuart in the background. All right. Emmanuel, question for you, Jody. Do you think there's an actual issue of gatekeeping in the industry? I feel like you've asked me this question before, Emmanuel. Do you think there's an actual issue of gatekeeping in the industry, or is it just the fact that actors aren't fighting hard enough for their opportunities? I think it's the latter. How do I answer this question? I'm torn on how to answer this. All right. The word gatekeeping has just such a negative connotation, right? So I was trying to veer away from that. But on the flip side, there is some level of gatekeeping. Right? I mean, your agent will submit for an audition, and casting is going to choose who gets seen, and that will be passed on to to the producers, and producers will decide who they like, and that gets passed on to directors. So there is some kind of gatekeeping. I just can't show up somewhere and hand my audition tape. Who am I? Whatever, you know what I mean? Like hand my audition tape to somebody. Here's my VHS. So there is some level of gatekeeping, if you want to, I'll do this gatekeeping. That's also like the structure of how things are done, right? And that's why if you know producers and you make connections with directors, you can go directly to those people, right? You're sort of skipping some of the initial steps and can go directly to some of those people. So there's a definitive structure to things, right? But now you say actors aren't fighting hard enough for their opportunities. I want to answer this in the right way. How do I say this? We get to, I'll use your word fight. We get to fight for what we want. We get to take action and go after what we want, hands down. For example, I'll just talk about my feature film. We had a meeting with our casting directors yesterday. We're still narrowing down on our short list. I was a little confused on who I really wanted to play my parents, and I got some clarity yesterday, and I did a deep dive research on this one actor that I really want. And I'm doing this deep dive research. Why? To fight for this actor, to fight for the opportunity for this person to be in my film, to find the merge, to go, oh my God, this is why he would want to do this project. This is how I need to pitch it. This is how I get to frame it to this actor based on his experience, based on his life experience, and why this film would speak to him. So therefore, I did deep dive research to fight for the opportunity to act opposite this actor in my feature, right? Fighting hard for that opportunity. That's to me fighting hard, right? In that moment. Fighting hard is not let me find his address and go knock on his door and talk to him. Right. And I think sometimes the fighting, that's what actors do for the fighting hard. They go, well, let me track down this director and I'll DM him personally and tell him why I'm right for this project. Maybe not the right thing to do. So when you say fight, when we're not fighting hard enough for the opportunities, there's a fine line there. And I think we can bump the line, right? I think we can go up to the line. But I think sometimes when we say fighting for that opportunity, we can start to strangle the opportunity and cross the line into whoa, 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 slow down. Does that make sense at all? Did that make sense to you, Emmanuel? So, there is a level of gatekeeping, we'll say that. And then I think there is a level of, oh, I just didn't get the audition. Well, did you research who was involved in the project? What about the producers, directors? Do you know the casting director? What about the associate? Is there an EP on the project that you know? Or that you have some connection to, or maybe they worked on another project that you worked on. Like for me, if I know that I'm right for something and I didn't get an audition for it, I'll research the team, figure out something about them, or if I know them, to give that ammunition to my manager to pitch. Or if come to find out, maybe a friend of maybe I'm connected to them on LinkedIn and I can say, hey, can you make an intro for me? Right. Using the business tools that we have to make introductions in that capacity. So I might do something like that. But I think when we start talking about fighting for the opportunity, I think we can go into a desperate place that is not always received well. Like even for example, in my deep dive yesterday, I found on Facebook that I had 2 people that I know that are friends with this actor's wife on Facebook. And I was like, "Hmm." And I was like, "Okay, don't do anything right now. Let's talk it out with the team, see if that's a viable thing, or do I just go through casting, make it a more official offer?" So anyway, right? We got to think through all those stuff. And sometimes I think when actors are like, I got to fight for this, they'll just shoot the emails out to everybody or DM things and go, I want to audition for you. And then it comes off like, ooh, it's too much. It can be too much. All right. Good question. Good question. All right. What else? What else do we got? What else do we got? What else is going on? Hi, Allison and Kelly. Hi, Tropa 2004 version 2. Hi, Sing. All right, what else? What else is coming up for you guys on this Friday, March 6th? Nothing? We have nothing. Oh, what else did I want to talk about with you all? Yeah, I will say it's just an interesting time right now. I feel like people are I feel like there's a time when people are like, "Yes, I'm going to do this," right? There's a hustle. There's a hustle period. And then I think there's people who don't hustle. And I feel like right now, like everyone is just kind of like, do we bother doing all the things? Like it's a little bit of what the vibe that I'm feeling out there. Just because of the chaos, right, in our industry and in the world right now. Let's just be, cognizant of that. And I get it. I get it. And I just invite you all, if you're feeling that right now, or like, what is my place here? Why am I doing this? What do I even do? Does it even matter? Will there be an industry in 10 years? Tap back into what it is that fuels you, what it is that drives you. Why do you want to be an actor? Why do you want to maybe write, maybe writing? Why do you want to write? Why do you want to direct? Why do you want to act or produce? Like, why? What does that do for you? What's the benefit in that for you? Can you imagine your life without it? What would that look like? I just think it's always really important to tap back in to why. You know, I'm balancing a lot of things right now, and there's a couple things on my plate that aren't as exciting to me as they used to be, because now my film is more exciting, and yeah, I'm doing a 5-day training next week, which oh, not yeah, no, in 10 days, which I'll talk about in a second. Like that's exciting to me. Like it's just interesting the things that become exciting when you really focus on what brings you joy. Right? What is bringing you joy? What is bringing you fulfillment? And I think it's really important to take a step back and look at that, as opposed to just, oh, I just need to get an agent. Oh, I just need to get new headshots. I just need to do this. I need to do this. Right. But why? Why? Well, I really want an agent or a new agent, because I really, really, really want to work on independent period films. Like that's where my heart is. I want to be on a horseback. I want to do whatever, like whatever it is for you. Like I get back to your why on things because it shifts everything immensely. You know, um, yeah, I'm a little stressed because of my deadline. Oh, if you didn't see the post on Facebook or Instagram, and I hate it when people say that, but I just said it. If you didn't see my post, it's so presumptuous. Um, I got a book deal with Broadbook Press, and I am writing my book on branding that I've wanted to write for a very long time, branding for actors. However, my deadline is in 1 month. I am about 28,000 words into a 50,000 word book. So I got some work to do, though it's going really, really well. But my point with that was what? I don't even remember why I brought it up. I don't remember. Balancing all the things. Oh, that my deadline's in a month. And I'm a little like last night, I sat down to dinner with my husband and I was just like, and I had like came out of like a 2.5 hour writing session or something. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. Like with the emails coming in from my film and having to write this book and planning this 5-day event for you all, I was a little overwhelmed. But I love it. I love it. And because I've always had this vision, right? And that's why I think it's so important to go back to the vision and the why. Like, why is it important for me to put this book out in the world? So more people and more actors can understand how to brand themselves and what it means and how to do it correctly. So, it always just goes back to why. I just really invite you to go back to the why. All right, Emmanuel, would you say that our industry is very unique compared to other industries due to most jobs here being self made? There's no fixed, rigid, or linear structure put in place for people. Hmm. Yeah, oh, Noreen, I see your question on Facebook as well. I'll come to that in a sec. Um, I mean, yeah, our industry is unique. I think the biggest thing, well, one thing I always say to myself, when people just start going down the actors should be paid for auditions and the rejection is so much, blah, blah, blah. I go, well, every industry has job interviews. We do it 10 times more, 100 times more than other industries, right? But every industry, you have job interviews and you probably have to create PowerPoints and spreadsheets and things to show that you are right for this job or your vision for something or what it is, right? Even interviewing directors for films, it's like they come with their whole ideas of what this film could be, right? People are constantly creating stuff to get jobs, right? I think actors feel like we're the only ones that do that, and that's not true, okay? But I think what is unique is that we are constantly interviewing over and over and over and over again, where someone might have 5 interviews every 10 years, right? And we'll have like 500 in 10 years. Like it's bananas, right? But yeah, there is no linear map to success here, right? I think it used to be like, okay, everybody get your like 5 to 10 co-stars and then you'll move up to guest star and then you can move up to recurring and then you'll be series reg or, start off in the chorus and the ensemble and then you'll get a supporting role. Then you can be a lead on Broadway and then, right. It seemed to be like, oh, here's how you do it. And it doesn't look like that. It doesn't ever look like that. So yeah, we're not in a linear industry like most, right? If like a doctor, you're going to go to med school and then you get residency and then you have an intern and then you work in a hospital, right? And then what that career trajectory looks like and the financial gain on the end. We don't have that. We don't have that here. So yeah, it's definitely a very unique industry, a very unique industry. And I watch like my husband, who's a production accountant for Disney, and all the crew. Like sometimes actors think we have it bad, I mean, we all can only sometimes see ourselves. But like, watching my hubby, it's like he doesn't get a paid vacation. He's not on payroll with Disney. He's also an independent contractor working on the shows. All the crew is independent contractors working on the shows. They don't get time off. They don't really get a sick day. If my husband takes a sick day, nobody gets paid. Like it's just a weird, yeah, we are in a weird industry, Emmanuel, for sure. For sure. All right. I'm going to go over here to Noreen. Noreen says, hi, Jody. I'm planning to look for an agent in the UK. Do you know when is a good time to submit, like a particular season? You know what, Noreen? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Historically here, it's always been April, June, November, December because of the pilot season that we have here. Now, obviously, the that has loosened itself a lot based on streamers casting year round and all that kind of stuff. So I still do find that agents will pay more attention around those time of years, but I've had clients sign with agents this quarter and managers this quarter already. So the hard and fast rule here is even out the window. I don't think that the UK is on a television cycle like that, but I don't know all the information about that market. So one thing I might do, Noreen, is even just do just a deep dive research of what does the television cycle in the UK look like, the television filming or producing cycle look like, and see if we can find any information on that there. But I say television cycle, but that's how LA is run, because LA was and still is a TV town. Where like New York's the theater town, LA is the TV town. I feel like a lot of film production has moved to UK. So it might not even be applicable. I might just do a little bit of research and see what you have. I know that you are in the think tank community, the Actors Think Tank, my membership program. Maybe I know we have some people there in the UK, so I would post in there and see if anybody has any insight on that as well. But as an outsider looking in, I wouldn't think it would matter. And I think if you're going to start doing something now in March anyway, I think there would be it'd be a good time. Yeah, Emmanuel just wrote here on Instagram, Noreen, that there's no pilot season here in the UK. Yeah, so it's not a hard and fast TV structure like it is here. So that makes sense. All right, Noreen, I'm excited for you. I would also do a little bit of research on like work visa, what that means, where you can work there, how that would work out. I would do a little research on that as well. Awesome. All right, great. All right. Hi, Rob. I lost my agent end of October. I want to get my branding down with your course and then get an agent here in Vancouver. Yes. And get one in LA for shows that are cast in LA but shot in Canada. Yeah. Oh my God. Everything is shot in Vancouver, Rob. My husband was unemployed for about 5 months. His show just got picked up here again in LA for only 6 episodes because the show he was working on moved to Vancouver. So all of Disney and all of Nickelodeon are pretty much shooting in Vancouver. All their multicams are shooting in Vancouver. So I think getting I know that he's still paying casting directors here. But I think getting an agent, and we were just even joking the other day of like, well, shit, do we rent out our house and rent a place in Vancouver and just move for a little bit and see what happens? Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff shooting in Vancouver. So if you can get an agent here, if you are a citizen in Canada as well, Robbie, you're setting yourself up because so much stuff is there. And yeah, we mean all the talk amongst his peers doesn't feel like it's going to be coming back to LA for the multicams. So okay, you lost your agent. You want to get your branding down. Yes, do the branding. For shows that are cast. So what's your question? You say any suggestions on who to start with? What's your question in there, Rob? I like your plan. I think getting an agent in Vancouver is good, but what's your specific question in that? Let me know. But yeah, then this is such a bigger conversation. And it's been a conversation I've been having a lot with my actors in the Actors Think Tank of what's the strategy now? Because we know the industry is evolving, right? So strategy shifts a little bit. So what's the strategy now? And that's why Noreen's looking into UK. I have an Atlanta agent. I'm looking into getting an agent in Boston. My manager submits me in the Texas market because she has a foothold there. And she's based in LA. So I think now, because so much stuff is not shot in the major markets like they were, having a stronger foothold and being a local hire in multiple places is now a necessity, I think. There was a point where that was like the big deal, everyone was doing it, and then the crackdown on rules of what local hire meant, and then and now I feel like we're back on a thing of, if you can be hired locally, you just gotta make sure it works out for you financially, right? Like, the supporting role in a feature my Atlanta agent got for me, they're shooting in Mississippi, they wanted local hire, so that means I need to fly my butt out there, but they're most likely putting me up. So, is that worth it to me? I have airline miles, I can make that happen, So, you gotta figure that stuff out, but I do think it's important now to diversify. Okay, Rob says, "I'm dealing with procrastination and getting going." Oh, got it, Rob. Um Oh gosh, I wish we could talk this out more. Because procrastination, there's usually something else under that, right? So, Rob, I just would invite you to ask yourself, like, what's under that procrastination? Is it fear? Is it fear like I'm going to do this course and nothing will change? Is it, um, or I'll do this course and everything will change, and now I'll have to deal with that, right? Again, going back to the old fear of success, fear of failure. I think, Rob, the procrastination is some sort of fear underneath that. So, and look, and I know too, when you look at a course and you might open that course and you'll see all the lessons and you're like, oh my God, I promise you each lesson is very digestible, and you can do one lesson at a time. So I would even say that, yeah, fear, lack of worth, what you said. Yeah. So of course it's hard to start a course when all that is underneath it, right? You're like, why bother? Right? The whole why bother thing. So again, this is when you get to make it bigger than yourself, and go, what's on the opposite side of that? The opposite side is like, I don't change anything and I stay exactly where I am. Or I do this thing and I can have my doubt that it'll change anything. I can still have my fear. I can still have my lack of worth or imposter syndrome, and we all suffer with variations on the theme of that. Or you could say, I'm going to do 3 lessons a week. I'm going to do 2 lessons a week. And I'm going to have non-negotiable time in my calendar, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to work on my branding from 10 to 11, 10 to 11:30, whatever. And then that's it. Maybe it's not even a lesson. Maybe it's 30 minutes, 3 times a week, whatever it may be. But I think the decision is, I either stay exactly where I am, or I feel the fear and I try something new. I talk about this a lot, where I think sometimes we think that there has to be a level of comfortability to move forward. Like, oh, the goal is being comfortable, right? So if I'm feeling uncomfortable, this must be wrong. And I will say, I'm probably uncomfortable 80% of the day. Especially now working on my film, it's so uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. If comfort is the goal, we would never get out of bed. We would never turn off the television. I would never stop eating potato chips or drinking wine. Do you know what I mean? If comfort is the goal. But I think it's the uncomfortability that we go, "Oh, this doesn't, oh God, I don't wanna," right? And then that fear comes up and then we just go, "No, no, I wanna stay here," right? It's your brain and your nervous system, right? Just wanting to protect. So there's a little protection going on right now, Rob, and that's totally normal. It's totally normal, and you gotta understand that. But the decision is, do I stay where I am or do I do something different? And the do something different is scary, and that's okay. Feel the fear. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And if that means just opening up and reading a couple things and closing it, so what? Maybe it's just doing it 10 minutes a day while you're drinking your coffee and see what that does. Like yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I don't feel like writing, but I get to write. I get to write. So let me just do it for an hour. 2.5 hours later, I was still writing. So sometimes you just need to start it. It's like a workout. I don't really want to work out. I didn't want to get up at 6 a.m. this morning. The alarm went off. I was like, oh God. And I was like, okay, but I know I feel better when I work out, and I feel better after I meditate, and I feel better after these things. Just get the fuck up. Just get up. Was it uncomfortable? Yeah. Do I feel better after doing all of that and stretching and doing it? Yeah. So, Rob, I hear you. And what you're describing is, uh, I think, what 99.9% of actors and probably humans feel at any given time. So, I invite you to find some kind of small step, small thing that you can do to feel the fear and do it anyway. That's really what it is. Let me know if this makes sense to you, Rob. Let me know how you're feeling. But that's a great question, and I really appreciate you, sharing it and being honest about it. And look, it happens a lot, especially when you've been in the industry a long time. Rob, I know you've been in the industry a long time. I've been in the industry a long time. I have a lot of clients that come to me who've been in the industry for a long time, and they go, "Yeah, I've been there, I've done everything, I know all that." It's like, "Okay, well, let's look at things in a different way. Let's take a different approach. Let's re-examine the strategy and try something slightly different," right? Because I think sometimes when we get into, "Oh, I know that," or "Why is this gonna change?" Right? That whole negative thought spiral, nothing good is gonna come from that. Nothing good's gonna come from that. It's safe. It's safe, and so it feels good in our body because again, it's safe. It's protection. Um, but the long haul of what that's doing to your body, right? Of going, "Oh, I'm still in the same place," and that self beat up and that lack of the worthiness and all of that, that has long-term effects on our stress levels and everything. So, sometimes feeling the fear and moving through it is even the better thing for your overall health, even though it feels scary in the moment. Yeah? Rob says, "Ooh, thanks. Yes, it does, especially at 60 and not landed anything in 5 years, but started writing and producing my own short films." I love it, Rob. I love it. I think it's so important now to diversify, as I said. I started writing my film probably 3.5, 4 years ago, not anticipating where we'd be in the industry, just writing because I needed catharsis. But I do feel like if you can create stuff now, create. If you can write a short film, write. If you can write plays, write them. If you can write monologues, do them. Get them on tape. If you like funny skit videos on TikTok, do them. Right? Find a creative outlet for you. I think it's very important. All right. Thanks, Rob. Let me see. Let me scroll back here. Okay, Emmanuel has another question. Let me just say hi for those of you who are just tuning on in. Hi, I'm Jody Bentley. I'm an actor, writer, producer, and CEO of Actor Insider and the Actor's Office. And I go live on the first Friday of every month on Actor Insider Live to answer any and all questions that you have about your acting business. Oh, and let me say this. So from March 16th through 20th, so gosh, in 10 days, I still have things to do. In 10 days, I am hosting a free 5-day training. A free 5-day training. Every day of the training, we're going to be discussing a different strategy and business technique for actors. So every day is a different topic. Every day has a new strategy. Every day is a new tool I'm going to teach you. And that's completely free. And it's March 16th through 20th. It's called the In-Demand Actor Blueprint. So you can I'm sure I've pasted the link in every place, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram or on Facebook. But you can even just go to my website, actor-insider.com. Right there on the homepage, you will see the sign up link. But I really invite you to sign on up and join. I think I've had over 500 actors already sign up. We should have about 1,000 people attending. So I really invite you to reserve your spot. And the videos will be up. They will be recorded. And you'll have till I think the 27th of March to watch. So if you can't attend that week, don't worry about it. I've recorded them for you. They will be up and you can watch those when you can. All right, let me go to Emmanuel. When it comes to agencies, can a reason for them choosing not to take a new talent on their books be due to the fact that they know there'll be too much work? They know there will not be much work available for them. No, they have no idea. They have no idea. That's a big assumption. That would be a big assumption. The only reason why they might say something about work is they might have 2 other actors in a very similar category where they're like, "No, I'm gonna be submitting these people," and then that would be, like, their 3rd option to submit, so there might not be. That's when you say, "Oh, I have too many people in your type," when they say that, that means you're probably not gonna get a lot of auditions, so they're just gonna be putting you on their roster to have you there just in case. Right. It's like you're being benched, you know what I mean? So, no, but you have no idea. We have no idea. We have no idea what the writers' room are, what they're writing for. Um, oh God, I was just going to say season 3 of Paradise. Did they announce a season 3 of Paradise? I hope there's a season 3 of Paradise. Oh my God, I love that show. Um, yeah, I mean, like we have no idea. We have no idea what they're writing in the writers' room and what kind of roles are coming down the pike. So no, that's not a reason. That's not a reason at all. It's not a reason at all. Um, Speaking of Paradise, I got pinned for a lot of TV shows last year, and so I got pinned for a role in Shrinking, and I saw who booked that. Watch, no, I love Shrinking, and I watched the season that just launched, and I was like, "Oh, that's the role I almost got, but I didn't." I had the same thing for a role in Paradise, so I get to see that coming up and be like, "Oh, that's the role I auditioned for that I didn't get." Isn't that fun? It's again, and how lovely that I get to be in that place, right? I'm very grateful for that, but it's very funny. But you know, what was interesting about looking at the person who booked it on Shrinking? I was like, "Oh, okay, so they did go in a slightly different direction. I can see what they were going for there, and that wasn't fully me. I get it. Like sometimes it's nice to see it, and you go, "Oh, yeah, I get why they made that choice. That makes sense." Anyway, I digress. All right, what else? What else is going on? Oh, let's see. Kelly says, "Thank you. I have to leave now. Thank you so much for your time." Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome so much. Emmanuel says, "The reason I'm asking that because I think with certain demographics of people in the industry, there doesn't seem to be much work for them. As a result, they may struggle." Sure. I get what you're saying. Um, it just even that ebbs and flows. Like I know agents right now that are only taking on diversity clients. Um, and then I know some that aren't taking on at all. Like it's just there again, it just depends on what's on their roster, what they need, what they see coming through the breakdowns, what they think they would want. So I get that. But I think, it's hard to get into the mindset of the agent on how they're running their business. Because there are some agencies that take on everybody and they have 500 clients, and to them it's throwing spaghetti against the wall and we'll see what happens. And then there's other agencies that have 125 clients, which I think is lovely. And they really know their clients and they make sure that there's not too much crossover. So that way the people that they brought on, they trust in their talent and they want them to get the auditions. So I hear you, Emmanuel. And I think it's an impossible question to answer because it's just really getting into the headspace of how each agency is running their business. And we don't know, but I think that's what do I want to say? There's like the lesson in here is how like we'll constantly sometimes try to analyze something. We can I love analyzing shit. I'm an analyzer, my husband's an analyzer. We love analyzing. But sometimes there's a detriment in that of like, well, I wonder why this happened. And we can suss it out and break it down. And we're not in their headspace. We have no idea. We have no idea. So we're making all these assumptions about this agency and then taking it on personally when it might not have anything to do with that at all. So I get it. Like I said, I didn't have a single audition this week, and I've seen clients of mine go, "Oh my God, I had 10 auditions this week." And it's like, okay, so my demographic, they did not need this week. Right. And again, I think it's just remembering too, that ebbs and flows, that totally ebbs and flows. All right. What else? What else do we got? We still have about 15 minutes here. How's my Stuart? Stuart's sleeping. Oh, he woke up. Again, for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, Stuart is joining us today. He's my little rescue buddy. I love him so much. Okay. All right. What else? What else is going on? What other questions do you have? What can I answer for you about anything in your business, auditions? What's going on? Let me know. Let me know. I think sometimes we create in a vacuum, we strategize in a vacuum, or maybe strategize with ChatGPT, which isn't always the best thing. So that's why I do this, you guys. Pick my brain, ask me questions. I'm an open book. I will answer anything. What do you want to know? Tell me what you want to know. I want to help you because we can't constantly be creating in a vacuum. Even with talking about creating in a vacuum, the couple auditions that I've had that were pretty large auditions, I got a coach. I got coached on them because I didn't want to just create that in a vacuum. Give me a 1, 2 pager. Okay, I got that. But 5 pages, 8 pages, I was like, I want another outside eye on this. And sometimes it's so important to have that. So I just wanted to say that. Stop creating in a vacuum. Oh, Shannon, you posted a Canada question. Let me scroll back. I missed it. Okay. Jumping off from the Vancouver topic, have you looked into or have any insight on the complications of not being a Canadian citizen? I have not, though I did ask like ChatGPT at one point, I think. Give me a breakdown on what would be the easiest route to get dual citizenship somewhere, because I have French Canadian roots. My husband has Irish roots. He has Portuguese roots, and I have Italian roots. So I was like, of Italy, Portugal, Ireland, or Canada, tell us what can we do? And ChatGPT said, yeah, Canada is going to be the hardest one to get dual citizenship in. So there's that. There's that. So I don't know. I haven't fully explored that path yet. Multicams aren't necessarily a huge part of what I want to be doing, so I don't feel like I need to do that yet. Again, I have a lot of clients a lot of shows shoot there, but if there's a show that they're casting out of LA or New York and they're shooting in Canada, you're fine. But now if you're going and you want to be auditioning in Canada and you have an agent in Canada, that's going to be a different thing. So I as far as I know, getting citizenship there is challenging. But again, you can work there if a production is shooting there. So yeah, I don't have a ton of information on that, Shannon, unfortunately. But I know from clients who are dual citizens, I'm like, get an agent there. That's why I said my husband and I were kind of joking. Like, do we just move? Do we just see what it's like? Can I get a local agent? Can I get a work visa? Can we figure it out? But I haven't explored any of that yet. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of answers for you, but definitely something worth exploring and looking into, Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we never know. It's like, again, how can we constantly be thinking, how can I diversify? How can I create more opportunities? That's the big thing, right? How can you create more opportunities for yourself? Right. That's why I love that Noreen is looking into UK and Rob's looking into Vancouver. And like, what do you already have? I have a client who, God, where is she a citizen? I think she's a citizen in Italy and here. So now she can work in the EU, right? And that's opened up some stuff for her. So just keep thinking about how can you create more possibilities for yourself. Yeah. Shannon says, perfect. That's the answer that I needed. Will agents take on US talent since they can work up there? Yeah, I have another client who is a dual citizen and she has an agent in Canada, an agent here, and her agent in Canada submits her all the time, right? Because she can totally work there. So yeah. Obviously being a citizen is easier. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, again, I think being able to work in multiple markets, I think is a good thing. And everyone's strategy with that is going to be different because we all have different backgrounds and histories and connections and all of that. Like Yvonne just says, is it hard to move from Scotland to Canada? I had a client move from India to Canada. Who else was in Canada? I'm blanking. They might have been in Canada to begin with. Is it hard? I don't know, Yvonne. I've never done it. I haven't moved from Scotland to Canada. Do you have dual citizenship? Is there, do you have connections there? I think there's a lot to explore. It's like I've had clients move from LA to Atlanta, from New York to Atlanta, from New York to LA, from Kansas to LA, from London to Miami, from Atlanta to London, right? So there's, people are moving all over. I think it's just based on, it says I was paused to poor connection. Hopefully we're good. Think, Yvonne, it's based on your goal, or is it Kathleen? Yvonne, Kathleen Duncan? I think it's Yvonne. It's based on your goals, based on what you want. I have a client who works in Paris, in Ireland, like those are her two markets, and now she's expanding to the UK, right? So, start taking meetings with people in Canada, start meeting casting directors in Canada, see what kind of connections you can get. Follow those people on Instagram. Like, this is time to research. Is it hard? Anything's hard if we make it hard, but I would do the research now to understand the possibility, who the players are, who you need to connect with, what you need to have in order to be taken seriously in that market. But I would really start connecting with some casting directors there. I think that would be, sorry, my lips are dry. I think that would be the best thing to do. And then understand how they are casting. What are they looking for? Do they need, you never know what's being cast locally somewhere. And they're like, we need some people with Scottish accents. Like, we never know. We never know those things. But I think understanding how that market works and how you can have a foothold in it will determine whether it's going to be easy or hard for you. So I would do some research. Okay. Let's see. Emmanuel, another question. Do you think streaming services and social media will put cinema and movie theaters out of business like it did with DVDs? Oh my gosh. Emmanuel, your questions are so macro. I love it. My husband and I try to go to the movies once a week. We love the movies. We love our AMC Stubs card. Will it put movie theaters out of business? That depends on like studio negotiations and all the things. Do you know what I mean? But what we learned, right? Look at Stranger Things and what happened over Christmas, right? They put in the movie theater the finale of Stranger Things. I was so mad that I couldn't go. And they made so much money. Well, no, I'm sorry, Netflix, they made so much money on concessions. I think Netflix had a deal and put it in there. Oh, I'm forgetting what it was. Or even K-pop Demon Hunters. There's all these things. They're putting them in movies and realizing how in the theaters and realizing how successful it is. So, that's why I think that's why I'm saying pay attention to the mergers that are happening, right? And I think they just announced something about they're not going to limit theatrical releases. Like, they were saying that this studio would do this many and this studio that many. So they're still cognizant of the theatrical releases so far, as I'm paying attention to negotiations. I don't think cinemas and movie theaters will be put out of business. That's the heart of the film industry. That's what so many people are fighting for, is to continue to get these theatrical releases. So I don't think they're going out of business, but there might be less showtimes. There might be less theaters. We do see movie theaters closing. Some celebrity, who was it? Oh God, who was it? I'm going to speak out of turn. There's a big theater in Westwood that was closing down, and some big celebrity put up money to keep that theater going. So yes, some theaters will close for sure, but I don't think it'll put all the movie theaters out of business. But again, that's me saying that on March 6th, 2026. We got to pay attention to see what the state of the market is going and what this merger is going to do to our industry. And that information, that answer could change, right? But right now, I don't see that happening. Okay. Hi, Carol. Hi, Jody. I'm currently without an agent. I've been a theater actor for years. I want to go more film and TV. I think I must have a demo reel and want to make one. I'm not thrilled. Did you have a... Oh, no. Are you guys serious that I've been talking with no sound? Oh no. Have I been having no sound at all? Can you not hear me? How did that happen? Yeah, I have one person watching now. All right. Well, if I lost, Katie can hear me on YouTube. Yeah, I think something happened on my phone. Well, I'm going to keep talking. Let me just say this on Instagram as we wrap it up. If you can't hear me on Instagram, I'm doing voice to text. I apologize. Go to YouTube at Actor Insider or Actor Insider Community. Yeah, something happened. Anyway, okay. Yes, Emmanuel, you're here on YouTube. Emmanuel, my sound went out? That's bananas. I swear to God, Mercury in retrograde. All right. Well, I'm going to continue to answer Carol's question, hoping that you find me somewhere else. Gosh darn it. All right. So Carol says she thinks she must have a demo reel and wants to make one, but you're not thrilled. Okay. I think that's what you said. Thrilled Whitwood. So I'm not sure what that means. That's a bummer about the sound. Okay. Well, Carol, the only way to be taken seriously for film and television is to have some clips. And I've been finding them. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, something happened on Instagram. Okay. Lost my train of thought. Yes. Okay. So we got to remember that this industry in general is an industry of show, don't tell, right? You got to show the industry who you are, not tell them who you are. So do you need a full on demo reel, Carol? No. Do you need 2 or 3 self tape clips that go, hey, this is who I am. This is my pocket. This is my brand. This is how you can sell me? Yes. Will you eventually get a demo reel? Yes. So I would just start out with recording a few self tapes that you feel like really resonate with your essence, your brand, and who you are, and then go from there. So don't worry about, hi, Stuart. Don't worry about putting together a whole demo reel right now. Just focus on some self-tape clips, and that'll be enough. Okay. Hi, sweet boy. I have a very sweet dog here. Okay. Katie, any questions? Emmanuel, any other questions? Carol, questions? I don't think anyone can hear me on Instagram, so that's great. Yeah, it said my internet was unstable and then sound went away. Anyway, all right. Well, let me know what else is happening. Hi, buddy. Let me know what else. What other questions do we have? What other questions do we have? Anything else? Oh, let me see if there was something else here. Yvonne was lip reading. Yeah, now I literally have no viewers on Instagram. So yeah, something definitely happened there. Okay, we digress. So what else? What else is going on? What else can I answer in our last few minutes together? What else can I answer? Anything going on? What's happening? Like we're talking about all the things in the state of the world and the state of the industry. And I just want to just say that I really invite you to find ways to reset. I feel like everyone's nervous system has been on edge. There's a lot of stress levels running high. A lot of those kinds of things are happening. So I really invite you to, what is your decompression? What is your reset? Like I really cannot wait to have a nice dinner with my hubby tonight and probably cuddle and watch a movie, or we might play a game. But like just, turning off the phones, turning everything off and having a reset. Hi, buddy. Do you want to say hi to everybody on YouTube and Facebook? Come here. This is so unprofessional, but here we go. Oh, Stuart's going to stay with me for the rest of our last few minutes. Okay. Oh. All right. It's okay, buddy. You can stay here. But yeah, I really invite you to hold your dog. Reset your nervous system, because I think that that's really, really important. So I just invite you to, how are you taking care of you? This career we've chosen is hard enough. And how can you find time? This is calming me down. How can you find time to reset, to be able to get back into the hustle? Because it still feels like this industry can be a hustle sometimes. And I just really invite you to find ways to take care of yourself, be creative, reset. I'm taking a pottery class on Saturday night. Yeah, tomorrow, Saturday night for a friend's birthday. I'm like, oh, that's fun. That's something different. I don't feel like I have to prove anything, impress anybody. I just get to make a really bad mug, and that'll be fun. Yes, it's Stuart. Hi, buddy. All right, Emmanuel. Let's answer Emmanuel's question. Hi, baby boy. All right. I know you probably want to be let down, but You're going to stay here with me for a minute. Okay, Emmanuel. Is it important for a director to understand the psychology of actors so they can understand actors better overall for the sake of knowing how to direct them? Ooh, what a good question. The directors that I've worked with, that I've had the best experiences with, Stuart's so mad at me right now. Are the ones that have, look at this big boy, are the ones who have actually studied acting, right? Because they know how to talk to actors, and they know what actors go through. So not necessarily the psychology of actors, but maybe it is, right? But they understand. They understand actor language and what an actor goes through and what they think. So I find that the directors who've actually taken an acting class, not that you have to study for a zillion in 5 years. I'm just going to lower this down so you guys can see. Well, that's the dog butt. On Instagram, you're just getting the dog butt. There we go. There we go. But yeah, I find that the best directors are the ones who studied acting too. Because they just know how to talk to actors for sure. But they know that's our job, though, is how can we take what a director says, even if they haven't studied acting, and how can we translate that, right? How can I translate that to in my own way of working to give them what they want, right? I think that's so much of the collaboration and what's so important there. All right. Well, Stuart hijacked the last part of this because he's so dang cute. My sound and Mercury in retrograde hijacked my Instagram. But alas, here we are. Thank you so much for tuning in and showing up today for Actor Insider Live. I trust it was helpful. I do still invite you to sign up for the In-Demand Actor Blueprint. It is March. Oh my God, my brain just went away. March 16th through 20th. So yeah, in 10 days, that will start. A full 5 days. So I'm going to drop a training every morning. And in the afternoon, I'm going to go live over Zoom every afternoon to answer all your questions. So it's going to be super, it's going to be super awesome. I'm really excited for it. And we're going to learn so much and go on a really great journey together. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And I will see you later. Okay. Bye, Instagram, even though you can't hear me. All right. Bye, YouTube. Bye, Katie. Bye, Emmanuel. And then bye, Facebook.